In this video we're going to take a look at an alternative to the if function called VLOOKUP. First of all, let's look at some of the problems with the if function. The if function is used to decide from among two things to put in a cell. But you can use it to choose from more than two things. You just have to choose one at a time. So I've got an example here of using the if function to choose from among 5 things. And the first if here checks to see if the student got an A, and if they did, put an A in the cell. If they did not, this is the false value. This is what happens if the first condition here is false, if it's not greater than or equal to 93. The false value is another if function. So there we check to see if the grade is greater than or equal to 85. If it is, the student gets a B. If not, then this is the false part of this if function. If it's not greater than or equal to 85, then we check to see another if statement. If it's greater than or equal to 75, and if it is, put a C in there. If not, this is the else part of the third if function. And it checks to see if the score is greater than or equal to 70, and if it is, the student gets a D. If not, the student gets an F. So if you want to choose from among 2 things, you only need 1 if statement. But if you want to choose from among 3, you need 2. If you want to choose from among 4, you need 3 if statements, and basically you need 1 fewer if statements than you need. Then you have choices. Okay, so I got 5 grades. I need 4 ifs. Now take a look at this one. This one's ugly. This one does pluses and minuses, and it doesn't even do A plus or D plus or D minus over here. It just does D's and F's at the end. So this could actually be a little bit longer than it is, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 if functions there. So I'm choosing from among 10 different things. Okay, and that's just a lot of work. Okay, now there's an alternative, and the alternative is the VLOOKUP function. Now, the VLOOKUP function, as you can probably tell from the name, is used to look something up in a table. So we need a table, and I've already got a little table that I've provided here. I just have to move the text box over, and here is the lookup table. The lookup table basically works like this. You don't actually have to have column headings here. They're not included when you use the formula, but in general, the first column is something you're going to look up, and the second column, or you can have more than one column if you want to, it's possible you could have multiple columns over here, is the value that's going to be returned. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to take somebody's average and I want to look it up in here, and then slide over one column and return the grade. Okay. Now let's go here, and I'm just going to delete all of this stuff, and I'm going to use the VLOOKUP function to figure out the person's grade. I'm going to look it up in this table over here. So let's go to our formulas tab again, and this is a lookup and reference, and it is VLOOKUP, and we get a little explanation here. And the first thing is, well, what's the value that you want to look up? Well, the value you want to look up is the person's grade. Okay, and then it says, where's the table array? Well, the table array is where I'm looking up the grade. And there's one catch here. If you're going to copy this formula, which frequently you will be doing, then you need to make that absolute, because the table is not going to move when you copy the formula. And then I want the index number of the value that's supposed to be returned. Well, this is column 1 of my table, and this is column 2 of my table. So the index number is 2. I want to return that letter grade that's in column 2. And we're not going to worry about the bottom part down here until we get to some later examples. So let's click on OK, and it looks like George got an A, which actually doesn't seem quite right here. Let's copy this down a few more and see what we get. And it looks like everybody's getting an A. So got a little bit of a problem here, and the problem is this. These values here are percents, and you know, they look like the numbers over here, but these numbers don't have percent signs. And if I change the format on these, then I see that these numbers are really, you know, numbers that are less than 1. All of these numbers here are bigger than 1, so everybody's going to get an A. So what we need to do is we need to basically multiply all of these by 100, and I'm going to do that real quickly. and I'll pause the video and then start up again after I've done that. Okay, I've changed the numbers now, so my lookup formula appears to be working. And let's take a look at how it works here. Let's take a look at this first one right here. Okay, what I'm looking up is C2. I'm looking up in the table here that's highlighted in pink, and the C2 is number 92. Well, 92 is not over here, and so this is how Excel does it. It starts at the top of my table here, my lookup table, and it progresses down the first column looking for either this value or the first value that's bigger than the value that I'm looking up. And when it finds the first one that's bigger, that's how it knows it's gone too far, and it backs up one. And then it goes over to column 2 and it returns this value right here. So it returns a B plus for George, it returns a B plus for John. 87 here happens to fall right on the dot. 78 does not. So 78 goes until it finds the 80, backs up one, and returns the C minus. Okay, so 70 is going to be a C minus. And now that I've got that formula working, I can copy it all the way down. Actually, it wasn't a problem with the formula, it was a problem with the data table. And so there we go. And we've got grades for everybody. Those look a little bit funny. Let's left align those. And then let's indent them like 1 or 2. Let's do 3. Okay. So the rule here is this is obviously only going to work if the numbers over here in my first column of the lookup table are in ascending order. So that's one requirement of the lookup table, is that the data over here be in ascending order. Now there's an exception to that, and we'll take a look at that exception in another video.